So today, Ward and I have, if you guys don't know Ward, he's a world famous developer who owns his own company, and he's pretty amazing. And Ward and I are very good friends, and we've been doing a lot of work on ngrx lately. We like the Redux pattern in Angular. A lot of people do. But there were some things about it that were kind of, I don't know. Sometimes you start writing code and you kind of think, maybe there's a better way. And we were trying to figure out how could we get rid of some of the boilerplate with ngrx inside of Angular apps. So we started thinking about ways we could do that. And we think we've gotten there. We created a library to help us do this. And we're going to talk about some of the pros and cons. We'd love to get all of your feedback. That's probably the best part of today as we're doing it. But also, we want to make sure that as we build this app out, we're going to start with a basic Angular app. We're going to add in ngrx, and we want to see, does this work? Is the experience good? Are there any limitations? Want to make sure that what we actually build is something that people would enjoy building and want to use. So, hey, thanks for coming in there. Checking out the chat room. I got tons of people here so far. Great. DeSafarius, thanks for coming. NUWoo76, thank you. Shushinatu, Echoes. Yeah, we had some echoes before. DS Worm, love that name. Thanks for joining. MS Hacker 9404, yellow. That's my daughter's favorite color. And C. Shomer, yep, thanks for coming in. F. Sorno, thanks for coming. JT Sum, thanks for coming too. And what's that? Bigally Style? Thanks for coming. I like that avatar name. Ward likes Redux. Yes and no. Does Ward actually truly like anything in life? So we're trying to figure out where that's going to end up being. Does the title still say home automation? Let me go fix that from last week. If I can figure out where to do that inside of Twitch. That would be really easy, huh? Let's go do that right now. Edit. Good catch. Thank you very much on that. ngrx with Zero Boilerplate. And we're going to call this ngrx-data. I can't throw that stone. Okay. John, do you know if the Angular team will be cooking Redux in the core? I haven't heard anything at this point about the Angular team wanting to put it right into the core. And honestly, I don't know if I'd want it there, because if it's in the core, then that's one more thing they have to support. And I kind of prefer that they kind of support all the many other things they already have. I kind of like having a community-run project like this, though. And Mike Ryan and Brandon Roberts and others are all really helping make it super awesome. So my personal opinions, I like to stay community-driven. But to answer your question, no, I haven't heard if it's going to be in the core or not. Cool. Thank you for giving me a good thumbs up on the audio. Ward is chatting me right now. Maybe I should show you my text messages. He's trying to join and it's not working. That's awesome. I am going to go ahead and give him the link once again. Let me copy the URL and let's paste it into here. And let's see now. Let's see if I can type in the text for him. All right. We're trying to get, if those of you might have just joined, we're trying to get my buddy Ward Bell to log in here real quick. Maybe Ward should learn to internet. Save the funny comments for Ward for once he gets on board so we can figure this out. I'm going to ask him what the error message is. Let's see here. What is your error message? Everyone in the chat room wants to see you. Let's see what he says. All right, here we go. So how many of you in the chat have used ngrx before? I'd love to see a count on that. Let me see if I can get this in here. Okay, he says he can't hear me. That I can fix. Hey, Ward Bell, can you hear me now? I can't hear you. Let's see. Let me try to configure the audio output. Let's see if we can get that to work. Mr. Ward, can you hear me now? I'm trying to get the output working. It says Ward Bell is not in this meeting. Interesting. He hears me, but you guys don't hear him. That's not good. So some of you use this too. Oh, cool. NGRX, a couple training sessions, a few months. Haven't seen it yet. Okay. NGRX Actions. Yep, that's pretty cool too. And Jury, you played around with it, but not in production yet. Yeah, exactly, for the too much boilerplate side. I agree there. And I appreciate you all bearing with me for a moment while I try to get Ward on board. He says he can hear me, so now I just got to figure out how to get him into here so you can hear him. Can you all hear Ward? Ward, say something, because I can't. Let's go ahead and go down this way. Ward, can you keep speaking, just so we can make sure we test this out? It says he's speaking. Let's keep trying this. Okay, that's not working. All right, so I can hear Ward through my computer speaker, but that's not good. We want to get him to do the stream, so bear with me for just a second as I try to figure out how to make that work through here. Mr. Bell, are you talking yet?
I am talking non-stop.
Okay. Can you guys hear Ward yet?
No.
I see his input actually flashing on my screen, though I can't hear him quite yet.
I hear you well. I will.
Let's see if I can get that moving here. We've got him there. You can hear Ward. Interesting. You can hear him, but I can't hear him. That's not good. So let me figure out how I get this working there. Ward, keep talking if you're there. And turn on your video, dude. We're supposed to be seeing you. That's your face. Great. Yay, look, there's his face. I'm going to move you over to another screen so I can get you off my face. That would be fantastic, wouldn't it? All right, so now let's go back over to OBS. There you go. You're in the live stream. I just can't hear you yet. I'm not sure what's going on there. Let me try this one more time. Audio capture, transition, audio capture device. All right, that's not working there. I'm assuming at some point Ward's his voice will just appear. You can see him, but you can't hear him now. That's not good. Yeah, there's what's happening here, for those in the chat, is we've got like a multi-channel input. And what I have to do is I have to stream in Ward from Zoom, and then have it make sure that that comes in also to my headphones and to OBS here, which is what I'm using. So I'm trying to make sure that it shows them both. So Ward, keep talking. I see your mouth moving. Yeah, it's called Soundflower, actually. There's some people up there saying they'd rather just hear instead of seeing you, Ward. That's not good. No, that's not good at all. Audio bridge, 1sev. Are you capturing the sound stream? Yep. You can see him here, and we got the face, got the word. He's gone now. Yes, the funny thing is 10-year-old gamers can configure this in their sleep. Absolutely. I did this last week, and it worked out really well. So the question is, what changed since then? Let me try something different. How's that working for you? Are you there, Ward? No? What's wrong with you, dude? All right, we're going to go back over here. I'm going to set that. I'm going to transition you in. I'm going to go back to... All right. Let's see if we can get this one last try. I've got one more idea. I'm going to reconnect my AirPods. This wouldn't happen on Windows. Awesome. That's fantastic. Hey, Ward, are you still talking? Yes, it's about a 10-second delay. But for whatever reason, your audio is a lot worse now. Now you sound better. I can hear you moaning.
That's what I'm doing. I'm moaning.
Well, if that's what you like to do. So I'm going to copy over what? Just copy over the whole source folder, or what do you want me to do?
Yeah, that's a great idea.
All right, so let me copy that. And let's open up another tab. Move this one
I'm
over.
going to speak directly into the mic.
Okay, now you're super loud. All right, so let's see here. We've got, the other one was from Awesome. And then we had source, client, here's Awesome. What we wanted to do is grab everything from this Awesome folder. And we want to copy that over inside of the source folder. Is that what I wanted to do? Hold on a sec. That's actually the app folder, isn't it? That's what we want. Let's see, it's copying it over. Word, can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay. You got really quiet.
I'm quiet because I'm thinking about how you're going to get from 0 to essentially to 5.
Yeah, we got to make sure that's there. So I just pulled over the main source code. So that's there. But now we've got to get like the styles and stuff over, right?
Yeah.
So let's go back into client. Scroll down. We're going to need assets. We should copy that down one level, right? Put it there. It's asking me again on another screen if I want to replace it. Yes. Where's the styles folder? It's down here. I want to paste that over there. We don't want the main style. And then we have to go edit our Angular CLI JSON, right? To make sure we get the
right assets at the right level.
Exactly. Thank you. All right, so I'm going to copy. That's not it. Where's the styles? This one. So I got to get the styles entry and the styles preprocessor out of the other project. So what we're doing here is we're copying over another project just to get a starting point. Just so we don't have to recode all that. And this starting project has styles and themes in a styles folder, not in the main file. But we also need to get our other stuff.
We also changed the prefix from app to AW. You may want to do that.
True. And we're also going to want to get all this ngrx stuff, right?
Yep, that's in the package JSON.
So let's do this game. I'm going to go to package JSON, and I'm going to do that multi-cursor, like this. And then go to the end of the line. Let's see. Yep. Now I want to grab this. Like that. All right. Get rid of whatever extra stuff I got. We don't need express or .env or handlebars or mongoose, right?
No, that's for other things.
Okay, but we do need all this stuff. Now I'm going to do the multi-cursor again. I'm basically building up an npm install.
Do I see ngrx-data in there anywhere?
Not yet. We're going to have to add that.
Good.
So I'm just copying this, go back to our window. We're going to go down to the bottom. And this is going to give us the latest stuff, right?
We do hope so.
So anything that's not already there will get added at this point. And then we also have to do which one?
We'll want to get ngrx-data at some point.
So while that's happening, I'm going to go open up another terminal down below. Do npm install ngrx-data-save, right?
Yes.
All right. I don't know if I can run two of these at the same time. Is that going to make it unhappy?
I don't know. I don't usually do that.
Maybe we should wait till the first one finishes before we do that?
Why not?
All right. So we've got our assets. That works. What was the prefix, did you say?
We changed it to AW. All of our stuff refers to AW, so it'll be easier just to change it here.
Okay.
And there's a lesson learned here. When they go down to the bottom, they'll be able to see where you can set the prefix.
Yeah. So right there, we can set the prefix in line 20, right, on Angular CLI JSON. That should cover
That's
it.
how it comes. Yeah, that's how it comes out of the box, and we changed it to AW, and you would change it to whatever you want out of it.
Yeah, we'll leave AW for now, right?
Yep.
And the main JS is going to app module. Is that okay for us?
It should be.
Or do you need to go to app dev module? I forget which one we use. If you want in-memory, we need the app dev module, don't we?
I don't know that this worked that way. I think that this used in-memory right to the beginning. So if we look at the app module...
No, it didn't.
We used it. Did we do it that way?
Yep.
Cool.
So tell us what that means so they can all understand.
Okay, so one of the ways... we wanted the app to look like it would without the in-memory web API. The in-memory web API, for those who don't know, is a way to intercept the HTTP calls just before they were headed for the server and reroute them to an in-memory web API that's part of Angular that I had a big hand in writing. And you wouldn't want to do that in production, obviously. You want it to go through your real server. So what we're doing is instead of going direct to the app module, we're going to app dev module, which imports the app module. And so it kind of sneaks in ahead of when the real application would actually start. And of course, you can see in the imports, it imports app module. But what it does is it does additional configuration just for in-memory web API purposes. And it points to a file, let's make sure it's the right one, the in-memory data service, that has our fake data in it, and some configuration stuff in it, so that we can simulate the behavior of a long-running latency over the wire. That's the delay thing, just pretend to be a real thing. And then what you would do in production is you would say, nope, I'm going to have my main go directly to app module, skip app dev module, and everything would look normal. I hope that makes sense.
Any questions on that? Ward was just schooling us on in-memory data. It's cool. We had a couple questions up there. While we're waiting, interested to hear Ward's take on Redux. Yeah, Ward, I told people that you liked the pattern, but people keep remembering you on like every podcast we've been on saying, now you've got two problems.
Yes. Well,
so you need to explain yourself.
I do. Okay, so as we're going to learn today, the pattern has a lot of intellectual appeal, and it addresses a set of concerns that we can go over. So I like it as an architect, but there's this phrase, an architect's dream, a developer's nightmare. So the nightmare is that, as we'll see, you have so many parts and pieces to write when you're trying to use the Redux pattern over entities. Now, to back up a bit, the Redux pattern is a way of managing shared data that needs to move around and be shared among the components in your application. And there are different kinds of shared data, including UI settings, router set configuration, and all that kind of stuff. But if you're, a large share of what people are trying to do here is manage entity data, which I think of as the kind of data that you put in a database, the kind that represents things of the world. And in any serious application, enterprise application, you're going to have a lot of those. 100 is not a large number. So what the Redux pattern obliges you to do is write a lot of pieces in order to basic CRUD operations over any of those, or each of those entity types. And as we'll see, just to do one operation over one entity type using ngrx, which is a variation on the Redux pattern, is going to involve a lot of work. And I think that is that's the problem you create for yourself. That's why Redux creates a second problem for you. Now, the point of ngrx-data, it's something where John and I looked at this sort of nightmare boilerplate that you have to write and said, is there anything we could do about this? Because if we like it architecturally, but it's miserable as a programmer, what do? And we thought, well, there's this point of view called convention over configuration, which you basically say, if the developer is willing to follow some conventions, then we could do a lot of stuff for you. And so there are conventions about how you would talk to the back end. There are conventions about what actions, which we'll see, you will need in order to implement your CRUD operations. There are conventions about how the reducers should work to update the collections and so forth. And so we said, let's see where that will take us. And so we wrote ngrx-data, which you're going to see. Now, and another alternative you probably have heard about is code generation. And we've seen this in various flavors. This idea says, you just, you want a customer, here, run these schematics and get a whole bunch of customer files for all the parts and pieces you need for Redux. Oh, now you want orders? We'll go create one of those. Oh, you want heroes? Go create one of those. It spits out, 10, 15 files for you. Those are your starter files. And then, good luck. Suddenly your project is filled with pages and pages of files that were generated for you.
Hey, Ward, are you going into space? You're sounding like an echo now.
Oh, sorry. So I should stop. Are people following me?
Ask the chat. Are you following Ward? Is that the answer that you wanted? I was trying to see who asked that question again, because I have to scroll up. That was Angular Ian UK. Oh, is that Ian from the UK, our Angular friend?
Anyway, that's the two problems. The problem is too much darn boilerplate. And it turns out that the reducers are actually very difficult to write correctly, and we're hoping to take care of that problem.
Okay, so Ian says, thanks for the reply. Can you see the chat yet, Mr. Bell?
I see it. I see thanks.
Okay, good. That's Angular. That's Ian. You know Ian from Twitter.
Yes.
Yeah, so I believe that's the same Ian. Is that Ian from Twitter? Yes, it is. Cool. Good to see you. All right, so thank you, Sushi and Clarkio. I right-clicked and turned off the preview in OBS because I don't need it. It just means I can't see you, Ward. Just so you know, you were slowly sliding to the left off the screen. I'll let the chat window let you know, though.
All right, I should turn off my video if I knew how.
Well, then they can't see you.
Oh, okay. They want to see this? All right.
All right, so what I just did is I refreshed the view of VS Code and trying to see if all the red lines go away now that we got the node modules. We do.
Now, for those who are listening to me who have never seen the Redux pattern, much of what I just said wouldn't make sense, but it will when we try and build this just one operation.
Yep. Yes, I remember you, Ian. Ward had a puppet to represent you in ngconf, the first one many years ago. So over here, yes, I think Jury was saying earlier, I had a commented outline. Yeah, what I did is basically, we have two app modules, because Ward and I were playing with this demo where one app module is the normal one, but this other one, this dev module, is hooking in this in-memory data module for us. So if I go over to app dev module, there we go. We can see here, And there's the commented line I hit enter on. Thank you for catching that for me, Jerry. And then, for whatever reason, I can't get rid of the space. Typing is really slow. There we go. So this one should work. If I build this now, should this just run? What word?
Let's hope so.
All right, let's see what happens. Brian Clark says, yes, of course, we want to see you, Ward. Everybody's upset you're not wearing a new outfit, by the way. Let's see here. It's building. You know what? Part of the activity monitor that's going crazy is the video, too. Which is weird, because Brian Clark and I did this, and it was perfectly fine 2 weeks ago with his audio and his video. Today, it's just going absolutely insane. So we're waiting for the thing to load up.
Well, we've got 2 feeds.
Right, but how are you different than Brian Clark? He was doing the same thing with me.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I'm fatter.
Okay, cannot get. That's an error word.
Yes, there sure is. Let's go into the Dev Tools and see what it's complaining about.
Why would we do that? Oops. I just knocked over my phone. So the error says, I gotta stretch over here. Content security policy, blah, 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 who cares? Right, Brian? Nobody cares about security. Trying to load the font because it violates the content security policy. I find it hard to believe that's actually the error. Let me reload. Supposed to use URL. There's a font that I can't find. Let's go back to VS Code. Actually look at real error messages. Scrolling down. Could not resolve module awesome hero. So something somewhere says that. That must be inside of our main. Why would the word awesome be somewhere in our code, Ward?
Good question.
Ah, our routing, remember?
Yes.
That should be app. So what we did here, this is really not very interesting for anybody else, but I'll just so people know what happened. We created this app, and we put them in, we did a multi-project CLI project, and that's why we had to change the path for the children. So that should have fixed it. It should be building down below. It is.
So we should look for other zero-awesomes somewhere.
Yeah, that's what the search is doing up there.
Oh, we go.
And I don't care about the title. We'll fix that in a minute. I just want to see it rebuild. By the way, it's really slow because of all the streaming. So it's not ngrx or Angular or VS Code or anything. It's just streaming. Come on, 90%. We'll do this too. So we can kind of see these things side by side. I'll put this up in there. And waiting for it, still at 90%. Sushinator, had routing at the tip of your tongue. Yeah, that's a good point. So how do you make a project search and not be able to get that work? Good question. So what I do is I go to Control-Shift-F, which is the same thing as hovering over this bar over here. It's Command-Shift-F. You click on that, you can do awesome and search your entire project then. We still got an error word.
Okay, what is the error now?
Let me scroll. Man, there's a lot of red. There is no hero detail component CSS. No such file or directory for ngrx Twitch. I don't even know what the heck that means.
Well, let's see. Where does it... Let's go to hero detail and see what it thinks it's looking for.
So there's hero detail. There's the code. There's the SAS file. This is unhappy because it's looking for a prefix of app. But we already changed that down here, right?
Yep.
Is there any other place we have to change that? AW, that's the only place we have to do it. Oh, you know what? There's one other place we have to do it, I think.
Yeah, deep down in the
The
app, tsconfig apps down in here.
It's the TS-lint thing, right? Somewhere in this thing. Can't remember. Don't they stick the prefix in TS-lint as well?
That I don't recall them doing. I don't think so.
Directive selector. Look at that. Component selector. Yep. So that should fix that. But that wasn't the problem we actually got. Trying to go through the windows. Let's go back to Hero.
What's in a TS config app JSON?
Down at the root?
No, down inside. There's a special one that the CLI uses.
Okay. There's, yeah, right there. Nothing special. Webpack failed to build again. npm rebuild node sass. That's a good point. It might be just something funky there. Let's see. Did I change the style extension to SCSS in the Angular CLI? Actually, I didn't, Jerry, but that is by default what I do. But let's go check, make sure. Everything should say SCSS in here. Yeah. So that's cut there too. Anything else? Search view to the bottom panel. Yep, Brian Clark, we can now move the search panel to the bottom panel if people want to. That's pretty cool too. I think node sass is actually our problem somehow. I don't want npm install. What is it? Rebuild node sass. Is that the command? Let's see if it'll actually rebuild that. If this doesn't work, we can go over to the other project and just try that one that's already built. Word is bandwidth intensive. I like that. An error ward sounds like a bad place to be. There's some really nice thoughts about you in here.
Yeah, I love it.
Actually, let's just try to build first. Oh, no, we'll do in memory. Oops. I want /o for serving. Any reason I use npm rather than yarn? It's one letter shorter. Ward, you got any thoughts on that?
I'm using yarn just fine. I think it's just what's in your fingers.
Yeah. I haven't found a compelling reason to go back to yarn. I used it for a couple months. I thought it was fun, but I think the funness wore off. I know a lot of people like it still. Brian Clark, you wrote a course on this. Why don't you chime in on the chat window about yarn and npm? Ian's laughing at us. Let's see. Some devs somewhere like that. You may answer this later, but would love to hear when to use this tool and when it's overkill or just plain wrong to use. We're thinking like ngrx in general. I wouldn't use it everywhere. That's kind of a big thing. It's when you have large applications with a lot of state that you need to manage. And that's kind of what we're going to get into. I think the demo we're actually going to show it on isn't going to be indicative of a regular app you'd use it with, but it'll at least show you how to do it. But Ward, do you want to talk a little about what's your 30-second elevator pitch on when and where to use Redux Pattern?
Well, the challenge there is it's clearly designed for applications that have a lot of shared state. I'm on the fence, to be honest, about when to use it with a large application too, because as everyone knows, I'm a Breeze guy. But I know that Breeze isn't for everyone, and people who are really want a lightweight framework behind it, are really bought into reactive programming with immutable objects. When that impulse is very strong, then, and you have an application that has a lot of shared state, then ngrx is the pattern for you. And so what we're trying to do is find a way to let you pursue those commitments, those architectural commitments, without killing yourself in the process. And that's kind of it. Now, am I using ngrx on my own large projects? Not yet, honestly, because I'm very happy with Breeze. But if I had to get on a mobile device or something like that, I'd explore it. And so that's kind of where we are.
That's not 30 seconds, by the way. I'm just teasing you now. Hey, we had one other problem in there. I forgot to change the index HTML to use all root instead of app root. And the last problem is going to be inside of our index HTML in our other project. We pulled in some fonts from Google. So I have to go copy that and stick it in our project. And if I do that, we should have the delete button and the app showing up on the screen now. So looking back at the chat while that's waiting, Ian says, thanks guys, really appreciate what you do for the community and time for taking answer to questions. Yeah, no worries, Ian. This is great that you guys joined us, and sorry for the hiccups today. Yarn's nice to have before NPM improved. Absolutely. That's kind of when I used Yarn too, aspiring DevOps guru. And then Mighty Core 1. I published a new library an hour ago. If you're in a tiny state you want to share, shameless plug, absolutely. Cool. He's got a tiny state project that's up there. People check it out. Ward, do you see Jury's got a bunch of questions for you too? Why? Why on mobile?
Like, why am I talking on a mobile phone? Because we've had streaming problems.
Yes. But why would you explore ngrx when you have dev on the mobile device? Ward says, by the way, Jerry, Ward says a lot of weird stuff. Just don't listen to half what he says.
Well, yeah, that's a great question, too, because it's not typical that you would have a lot of shared state on a mobile device.
Right.
But more and more people are trying to build bigger applications with more shared state on mobile devices. They're trying to put, for example, I'm seeing things like payroll applications on mobile devices and so forth. These can have entity models that maybe are 30 or 40 or 50, and you want to be able to manage that data in a consistent way, and it has to be lightweight on the mobile.
Cool. And Word, I just opened up the app. It works. I thought we could explain real quick how this app works and then try to figure out how do we get ngrx-data into it, right?
Okay.
So if we look at the screen, everybody, you can see there's heroes and there's villains. Surprise, surprise. Ward and I like two are heroes. The heroes list, if you look at the component I'm hovering over, that's the heroes list component. And actually, let me try to maneuver this a little bit so I can show this one. I'm trying to grab the window and it's not happy. There we go. So I do that and I get rid of the dev tools. You can kind of see what's happening over there, and then I'll make this shrink up. There we go, and we'll make this bigger. So.
And by the way, I didn't mean to develop on the mobile device. I meant develop for the mobile device.
Yeah, I hope you're not developing on a mobile device. There we go. So if we look at the window to the left, you can see there's a heroes, hero list, and a hero detail components. The hero list is this thing on the left. That's the rectangle. The thing on the right is the hero details component. You might be wondering, what the heck is the heroes component? That is what we're calling a container component, right, Ward?
Yes.
It's everything here.
We're following another pattern that goes often hand in hand with Redux, which is, some people heard it as smart DOM, but the better term is container presenter. And John, you want to tell them about what the container is and what its job is?
Yeah, I'm going to kind of draw. So I'm doing a quick Snagit just to show people what this looks like. Snagit's just a quick screenshotting tool. And look, you can see Brian Clark over there in my last screenshots. This is a great picture of him. Look at that. All right. So looking at the screenshot, what we have here, this section there in the red, that is the hero list. The purple arrow is the hero detail. Those two components are presenter components. They don't know how to get heroes or update them or save them or do anything. They just know that they'll be given the heroes or the hero detail, and then they'll display it on the screen, and they'll then notify somebody to say, hey, somebody saved me, or somebody deleted me, or somebody asked to refresh my list. The big box on the outside, which is this thing right here, basically the whole thing that we're looking at, everything from between that line and this line, that is our hero container. The hero container has three visual elements to it right now. It's got the buttons top, like the refresh, and it's got the hero list and the hero details. The hero container's job in this container presenter model is to go get all the data, make the decisions about how to save or how to insert or how to refresh. So again, containers do all the work. They hit services and HTTP and stuff. The presenter components, in this case the hero list and the hero details, their only job is to say, hey, maybe through an input property, right, Ward?
Yeah.
Get the data and do something with it, and then once somebody presses save or cancel, then it reports back up to the container.
I think if you showed them the hero list HTML, they would have a feel for that.
Yep. So let's go back and show the code now. Here's the hero list HTML. And we can see it's just a list of heroes. The hero detail is a form with ngModel showing the heroes. And if we look at the code for the hero, sorry, the HTML for the heroes component, you'll see that there's the buttons up top. And then inside of line 7 of the HTML, there's a content container. And then we have our hero list, and then the bottom's got our hero detail container. Notice that we have on lines 12 and 17, those are our presenter components. A couple questions coming across the chat there. Is John the hero and Ward the villain? Of course, Ian. Sushinator, Classic Master Detail. Yep, it's there. And Baby Mickers, what's the screenshot program? That is Snagit by TechSmith. I happen to like that a lot. There's a built-in one for Mac, but Snagit's really cool. All right, so once we do that, if we look at the hero container code, this is where we have our hero service, which if we click in there real quick, we can see the hero service is doing our API calls using HTTP. So this is where all the work's being done. And if we go back to the HTML, we can see that when somebody selects a hero, we're actually passing in the selected hero on line 17 to that hero detail container. So I guess the next step is, Ward, doing this model, right now, we could have heroes information all over the app.
That's correct.
And part of this...
Now we're doing it in the sort of way we've always taught it, with no Redux pattern at all, with essentially mutable objects. We're just fire anything that we need, we just go to it directly.
Yep. So the question is, if we want to use Redux pattern, one of the things we talked about was that in this pattern, there's one store, one set of data, and that data flows up from the store to our components. And then when people change that data, we actually send it directly back to the store by way of this pattern. There's no two-way data binding ngModel. There's no two-way data binding, basically, in this model. It's properties up and events down, right?
Right.
I'm trying to be careful with my words, because you can still use ngModel with the pattern. But all right, so how do we start getting ngrx-data into here if we want to go the other direction?
Well, it's a reactive pattern, meaning that right now, John, are we? What is our heroes component deliver? How is it delivering heroes?
I'm just initializing the GitHub repo while we're talking too. So right now, it's getting the heroes through an HTTP service.
And is it providing a heroes property, or is it providing a heroes observable?
Well, it says get heroes, and get heroes sets a property, not an observable.
Right. So two things are going to change. One, how we get and save data, and another about how we present it.
Right.
So we can do both things at the same time.
Let's do that.
Step by step.
All right, so we're going to change heroes to be an observable?
Yes, and for time purposes, you might want to grab one of the HTML, the hero list from a later example, but we can try and do this.
Right. I can grab that, but let's start typing the code in here too, right?
Yeah.
So And we probably should refactor this to be a heroes $, because that makes people happy.
Yeah, we should do that.
Why is that $1? Because that means it's money?
It means it's money, baby. Your money. It also means that it's kind of it's called Finnish notation, indicating that, because somebody in Finland came up with it, indicating that you're presenting an observable stream.
Okay. I was going to go look at our other example, as you mentioned, which would be the end result of ngrx.
You'll find it in the ngrx file, which is number 5, HTML example.
Okay, there's nothing in that.
And the class.
All right, so go down. There's our heroes. So we just don't want to deal with all the HTML again, so let's go look at that. And we'll do a quick diff at the end. So this is changing a little bit. It's got a filter. Do we even need the filter?
We can switch over and show it later from another example.
How about I delete it?
Okay.
And then let's go back into here. And where did the file go? HTML TS.
So you got the filter there in the HTML. We got rid of that.
Yep. And I'm going to move this off screen for a second just so I get some room. So we don't need this filter. What is it going to be called?
Same.
It was called heroes over here. So in the HTML, it's called heroes $, and it's filtered. Which one do you want?
The $, sign.
Right. Filtered or not is my question.
We're going to get rid of the filter, aren't we?
Yes. So we have loading. We need loading $, to get changed over to. Let's do that. And that's going to become a observable Boolean. You're supposed to correct me if I do it wrong here, buddy.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So we just changed our things to be observables. The HTML should be kind of happy at this point, right? It says loading $, is not defined, although I don't believe it. I think it just hasn't caught up yet.
Right. It hasn't.
Looking through the rest of this. Cool. So that's our main list. At this point, we probably have some code inside the TS file that's not correct. Like, notice delete here and all this stuff's not happy now.
Wonder why.
Well, because it's an observable, and now it's a Boolean.
That would do it. So we may want to copy over the component TS. Did we bring that all over? Yes.
I didn't bring over the TS, no. I was going to...
So let's take a look at doing that.
You want to copy the whole thing on top?
Why not?
All right, then we'll delete what we don't need.
We can talk about the differences.
All right, so we don't want this filter crap.
Right, we'll get rid of that part.
And heroes service doesn't exist yet.
Well, actually, we do have a hero service. We're going to get... There's a sort of a step we can make to make that reactive without actually using ngrx or any of that.
We don't have it yet, that was my point. All I did was copy over the contents of this TS. So this file's mostly happy other than the fact that that service doesn't exist. Do you want to go get that service?
And then, yeah, and we can get that. Actually, there's a version of it in the reactive folder. It's number 4.
Why can't I use the same project?
We'll
Why?
see.
If we're copying everything out of the ngrx-data project you have, shouldn't I continue copying out of the same project?
Well, because that one you will find actually knows about ngrx-data, and we're trying to sort of get them there step by step.
No, we're not. We're trying to go to ngrx-data.
We're going to direct to ngrx-data?
Yeah, I don't have 7 days to go through ngrx with 4,000 boilerplates.
Oh, good. All right. Let's go right to the end then.
Who wants to spend the next 7 days writing ngrx code with us?
All right. Let's go to ngrx-data. Let's bring that hero service in. Yep.
Okay. So we already have a hero service. Should I just paste into that file, get rid of what we got here?
Mm-hmm.
All right. I think the name of the service is slightly different because you called yours Heroes service. I'm going to call it Hero. And I'm going to get rid of your filter again. You and your filters. And I can get rid of this whole filter pattern crap down here, right?
Mm-hmm.
I like deleting code. Now we've got to go back up here. It's actually Hero service. And that's Hero service. And Hero service. And we're providing the service right inside of this module, this component. All right. I don't know if it's happy yet at the bottom. It's got no exported member, Hero service. Let's check this out. All right. So let's check that out here. So there's the Hero service.
You'll probably want to get the entities out of it instead of the filtered entities.
You tell me what you're talking about so I can do that.
Back one. Back to the Heroes component.
Okay. Get entities instead of filter right here.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that's there. Now, saying down there, property ent $sign does not exist. It just caught me mid-typing, I think. Let's just do that. It should recompile. So what we've done here, folks, is we're trying to change the way that the heroes and the list and all that stuff works. What I think I'm going to do, actually, Ward, just for the sake of time, is we're going to copy over the heroes list and details components into here as well.
Okay. Yeah, I don't remember whether they changed it.
Of course they did, because they're doing. Well, shouldn't they change?
No.
Remember,
they're presenters. They don't know how the data come, and that's one of the principles.
Yeah, but I don't trust you. I have a feeling you changed it.
That's true. You may not trust me, but one of the principles of the container presenter model is that the presenters had no idea how heroes got here. Only the container did.
Yeah. That is right. So this should work either way. You know, we can make it work either way or two. So what we've done so far is, now this shouldn't work quite yet because we haven't actually pulled in and set up ngrx-data. All we've done is pulled the component over. So the app shouldn't be running. Like you see, there's nothing showing up right now. But if you go back to the
one of the interesting things about this is that so let's sort of think about what we've done. Well, at one level, what we've done is we've changed the interaction model so that now it's reactive. We can't see it actually running, but the idea now is that it's instead of having our hero service deliver heroes directly to us and punching them in and out, we are listening for changes and using the async pipe and the HTML to display them. And then on when the user makes changes and we're ready to commit those changes to the database, we are calling a method on the hero service that will dispatch that and have it done. So we've got unidirectional data flow going through this app. So
the real key of looking at this to understanding it for me was by looking at the code of the heroes component, the constructor is now saying, don't give me don't go out and make a call and subscribe to the heroes. Instead, we're saying we've got a heroes observable and happenstance, we have a loading observable, which goes out and gets our heroes entities observable. It's a stream of heroes that'll come in. So that's what Word's saying, right? We're reading those from the store. And then when somebody presses save or delete or whatever, like delete, it's going to call this method, hero service delete, and pass the ID. And if we drive into there, the delete, that's not what I wanted to see. I want to go into the hero service. Let's just go down here. The hero service is extending this entity service base, which under the covers knows how to do deletes and updates and inserts and a couple other things, right, Ward?
Yep.
So that's why I didn't want to dive in there. But all you have to do is say, look, my hero service is going to have the canonical CRUD type things in it. And that should just be enough. But the reason it's not running yet is we haven't actually configured ngrx-data to run in the app. We have to tell one of the modules that this thing exists, right?
Right, and so it should be failing because it doesn't know what the hero type is.
It's not actually failing. It's just not showing
it's
anything.
It's just not showing anything. Well, brilliant. It knows what any service base is. That's good.
Yeah, so up at the top now, it has no idea. The error in the console is static injector, hero service, entity service factory. It doesn't know what the heck that is.
Right, because we haven't brought in any of the ngrx-data stuff yet, and we haven't configured ngrx-data to know about heroes and villains. So that should be our next step.
Okay, so should I do that inside of the app dev module?
App dev module, no. We're going to create a new folder, close up heroes folder.
Okay, what am I going to create?
You're going to create a new folder called store.
Okay, and you want to put the new store in there?
And because we've blown so much time with the other things, we may want to just bring that over and then walk through it. What do you think?
So new folder, store, and what we're going to put in the store is this Redux store thing. So we have a question too. When we have cases to combine more than one entity, how do we do it? Can you explain what you mean by combining more than one entity? Florum, Maxi, Hunnel? I love these avatar names in Twitch. While he's doing that, I'm going to go grab the store. Do you want the entity store module thing that we used to do, Ward?
You'll find everything you'll need in the ngrx-data and example.
Right, but there's several files. I don't want to grab every file.
You might.
Yeah, I'm going to grab one thing at a time. I don't want to kill people.
I will take a look and see what you need here.
Entity metadata.ts. So this is a, I don't think it's entity data, it's entity store module. I named it wrong.
You're actually going to need all 4 of them, John.
Well, that sucks. Who wrote this library?
I know, we did, but there's going to be good reason for this, and it's worth walking through what each of them does.
No, I disagree.
All right.
I hear you on this. I just want to see, I want to vet our questions on here. So entity store module is basically the main module for our store, right?
Correct.
Okay. Entity metadata is a way you abstracted out what?
That's how we describe the entity model in our application. In our case, it's got heroes and villains, and so that's where we describe them so that ngrx-data knows what to do.
All right, so I'm pasting into there a bunch of stuff that you did. We've got villains. I'm going to get rid of all this villain stuff because we don't need it. I'm going to get rid of some comments. Do we need a name filter? A sort by? A name and saying? Do we need any of this stuff?
No, but they're harmless, and we can talk about them.
No, let's kill them.
Kill them.
If we don't need them, they shouldn't be here. All right, entity metadata. We don't need anything up here. We just need an empty object, right?
It's nice to keep the sort bys, so let's keep those.
It's gone. Sorry.
John, I want to talk about them. Okay.
We have a half an hour, Ward.
Okay, good. All right. Well, then, you know what?
Let's get the app running, and then we'll deal with making it happy. May I ask, anyone already put John there? Anyone already put John there? GitHub Awesome Developer Streams. I don't know. Sushine, you're funny. So, case matters. Yes, that's the pluralization. So this is the only customization you make, right? Word?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
I'm having a spinner here that means I can't see what you're typing. But.
Okay. Well, that's why I'm saying it out loud, too. So ngrx-data toast.service.ts. This is a wrapper that you wrote for my toaster thingy, right?
Yeah. Actually, you wrote it.
Probably. It's been a while. So this is just a wrapper that makes it, instead of just calling toast, we use observables for toast, right?
Right. What it's doing is it's plugging in the changes that occur as the store updates into the toast so that we can see them.
Do we have a toaster? That's the question. We do have a toast service.
That's baked into Awesome.
Right. It's in here, too. Are we in the
Should just
wrong level folder? I can't find core. Trying to see what the right level is here for toast.
Sorry, John, I'm blind.
So I'm in the store. It's telling me that the toast service is not in core.
I thought we had one.
We do. I'm trying to figure out the right level. Oh, I got store in the wrong folder, I think. That's why. So let's see here. Ward, let's keep that John delete. Yep, that's the way Ward and I code, guys. All right, that's what it was. I put the store in the wrong folder, Ward. It should be right alongside of heroes and everything else. Okay, the only thing I didn't bring over is this app store module. Do I need that?
Yes.
Even though I'm not doing any custom stuff?
I believe so. We'll have to take a look at it. As again, I'm blind because I lost the I've lost connection here.
Okay, so I just copied over App Store. So it looks like App Store. I mean, you should look at the code and see this. App Store is pulling in store module, meta reducers, effects module, a bunch of ngrx garbage.
Yeah, but it's important. So here's what's happening. Although I'm doing it from memory because I can't see your screen.
Right, but you can open up the code on your screen, right? You've got the same code.
I do have that.
That would be super helpful. Oh, by the way, we forgot to install ngrx store dev tools. I should go npm install that.
Yeah. Okay. So should I take it from the top at App Store module?
Yeah, like, let's figure out what do we need in here. What is it doing?
Okay. So what we need to do is initialize ngrx itself for the entire application at the root level. And so this is our root level, our app level store. Because you might very well want to mix ngrx-data stuff with other things. Anyway, notice under imports we do store module for root, and we give it nothing. We give it an empty object. All right, that means we don't have anything at the root, but we're at least going to have a store.
So this App Store module is kind of the main module for ngrx in our app.
Correct.
Okay. It's setting up the store, the effects, the entity store, and our toaster that we happen to create. All right, so that's...
Right, and it's setting up the dev tools if we're not in production.
Yep. So then we've got another module called Entity Store, which we set up our entities, which in our case, the only one we have is heroes. But we don't list any of that here. Instead, we just say what's the configuration for our entities. Like the root for our node API is going to be API.
Right.
I'm going to set the timeout down to like half a second instead of 3 seconds. And we're making automatic delays on gets and saves right now. Just so we can test this out, right?
Right. So what these entities, yeah, exactly. The entity store module is from an ngrx perspective, is a feature.
Right.
The feature we're adding is the ability to manage entities in a cache. And that's what we're configuring and all that stuff. All right. So what you can't see is that ngrx-data module for root. That's ngrx-data wiring itself into ngrx and saying, "Hey, we're a feature."
Cool.
And the feature we're going to take our feature and we're going to configure it with the entity metadata, which we haven't shown yet, but that describes our model.
Right, that's the thing I
cut.
cut all.
Did do it. That's the thing.
I cut all the code out of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I made it super simple. In fact, we don't even need the props filter refactory or, we don't need the default select ID.
Yeah, we went a little crazy there.
Yeah. So we've got these two modules. How do we tell the app that they exist? What's the next step?
Well, we need to go back up to the app module.
Which in our case is app dev, I think, right?
No, treat it right as app module. All right. App dev module is kind of the thing we pretend doesn't exist.
Oh, that's right.
The only contribution app dev module is the in-memory web API. So app
Right,
module is just normal thinking.
But wait, let's pause for a second, because app dev module loads app module, just so people know this, because this is not a normal thing. So app dev is what we load. It happens to then in turn load app module. So they're actually both getting loaded, just so people know.
Right.
All right, so I'm in app module. We want ngrx here. What do we do?
We bring in the App Store module.
Okay. So I should import it. Does it matter where I import it?
I put it at the end.
After routing?
Yeah, that's where I put it.
Okay, I'm going to save it.
All right, so let's pause for a second and describe what's happening. The app starts up normally, and it has a series of these modules, like HTTP client module. We just said, well, you should also have the App Store module. Now, when we look at the App Store module, we see that it says, okay, now you want ngrx, and that's what that's doing.
Right.
But it's also the case that it's doing, you can see in there that at the Entity Store module, in our App Store module, it's importing that.
The Entity Store is getting imported where? We're importing the App Store module.
In the App Store module.
Oh, so we go to the App Store.
Inside the App Store module, it imports the Entity Store module.
Right, that's where 26 goes, yep. So
Right.
app module loads App Store loads Entity Store, yep.
Right, so again from the top, we have the app module, which is loading the ngrx for a module for our app. Inside the one for our app, we only have one feature. It's called the Entity Store module, and so it's doing that. And then when we looked inside the Entity Store module, we saw it configured our application to manage the entities.
Yep.
1, 2, 3.
And specifically, I did a git init on this whole thing at the beginning, just so we wouldn't, so we could show the differences. But I want to see the app at this point, just like what state it's in. It's not running. Oh, I know what the hammer error is. I can fix the hammer error. But it's giving us a timeout occurred on API heroes. That's interesting. The hammer thing is actually something we need to do in main. Let me go fix that real quick. When you use Angular material, you need to put this line of code in there to import hammer.js. So we should get a refresh here, Ward, but in the browser it's telling us there's a timeout error. Timeout has occurred on get of API heroes. Any idea what that means?
I'm thinking that we need to set up our data service configuration. It's hard to see without seeing it.
Okay. So you can watch the Twitch stream, right?
No, that's what's broken for me.
Oh, refresh the page?
Can you tell me what I tried that. What the app module looks like now?
What it looks
on
like.
lines 28 through 31?
There is no lines 28 in the app module.
So it doesn't know, you don't have a data services module in there?
Let me go look at the old code and take a look. In our old app module, we did not have anything called a data service. There's a data services module thing. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, data service module.
Okay, what is that? Why do we have 5,000 modules? I thought we were getting rid of code.
I know, but this is how you talk to the database.
Okay.
Hold on a second.
Feels like we already typed all this. I'm confused.
Me too.
This has got delays and APIs and stuff in it again?
It should have been there all along, and it should have been working.
Well, it couldn't have been there because we never typed it.
Mm-hmm.
App module's not something we had copied over. Okay, so data services.
Thinking. Do we have it? Do we have a data services folder? Folder?
No. What is that?
That was where we were doing our HTTP calls. Yeah. Maybe I'm in the wrong thing. Hold on, let me check. No, we had that.
Well, yeah, in the other project we did, yeah. There's a lot of stuff in there. Why do we need all this?
Yeah. I don't think we do.
This seems, yeah, like there's extra code here.
Left over from our way to get here.
Yeah.
Because you don't need that.
I don't know that one.
Alexa's talking to me now. Isn't that great? Yeah, because all this code, this is the delays and the roots. This is stuff that you pulled out into metadata at some point.
Exactly. It's all gone. You don't need any of this. My challenge is at the moment trying to figure out where your error is when I can't see it.
Right. So I'm going to get rid of it again. And then we're going to recompile here. So let's see here. I got a couple questions up there and there. Rewatching tomorrow. Your brain's getting lazy. Sorry about that, Sushinator. We're trying to get through here. Part of what we're trying to do is take something that Ward and I did, and when we're done, we're going to do the git commit history and show you kind of what it would take to get from point A to point B. So the commit will be the best thing to look at. But right now, the error, it's building. It's just when it's running, I'm getting a timeout error on URL for API heroes. Let me see here. Are you still over there on Zoom? Can people see you?
I'm looking at Twitch and I can't see a thing, John.
What does can't see a thing mean?
Meaning it's locked up. Twitch won't tell me anything.
Okay, look at Zoom then. I don't know what your thing's going on.
So I'm looking at the code to sort of see if anything tells me anything.
Look at Zoom.
All right, I'll look at Zoom.
I'm sharing with Ward separately, folks.
I see.
So if I go back to trying to get to the browser. That's not the browser.
All right, so it's complaining it can't see a data service module, but we don't need that.
No, the error is down here in the bottom right. Timeout. It's looking for API heroes, but it should be finding the in-memory thing.
Where would it have trouble with that?
So if we go up
Is it
here.
actually making HTTP calls?
No, I just checked. Well, there's one. Yep, heroes. Response. And it's getting back our index HTML. So it's making an HTTP call. It's not using in-memory, it looks like.
And exactly. It's as if it was trying to make the calls directly. This is good. This means that it's not hearing the in-memory web API. Let's find out why.
So let's walk through here. Main is calling app dev.
Mm-hmm.
App dev is calling app module and the in-memory.
That's all set up properly.
And then app module is over here, which is calling our ngrx app module.
What is the HTTP request being made in the browser?
Let's go look. Jury, you got a question. Let's see here. Wasn't that /heroes just for the refresh of your Angular app hitting the route? Let's check, actually. Yeah, you're right. Sorry. That /heroes is actually not the... It is using in-memory. You're right. So this first call is actually just getting the heroes page ward. Jury, thank you. You're right. So yeah, there is no network API call being made for API/heroes in the browser. So it thinks it's using in-memory API.
Which means that we should be able to put a breakpoint in there and see it coming in.
And in-memory data services right here. We've got data. We saw the app use it before. I'm curious why that's not working. so let's try to do a little debugging.
Yeah, let's try that.
Let's go into the sources, Command P, memory. I'll make this a little bit bigger. All right, go over there, make this go away.
Of course, I'm not seeing anything, John.
You looking at Zoom? What are you looking at, Word?
I'm looking at Zoom. I'm looking at Zoom.
The browser's up. What do you see? Help me.
What I see is a frozen image of the app.
What is the app? Is that what program are you looking at? Code,
Awesome,
browser?
Zero Awesome, and I see a little, and it's obscuring the code behind it. That's all I see.
So you're seeing Visual Studio Code.
No, it's obscured. Visual Studio's code is obscured by the app.
What is the app? What program?
It's
Chrome?
Awesome. You know our
Yeah, that's what we're looking at. It's the browser.
Okay.
See, okay.
All right. Well, I'm just telling you, I'm not seeing any motion.
Right. Okay. Tell me the app that you're not seeing next time so I can help.
I can't see any Visual Studio code. It's obscured.
We're going to debug in the browser, right?
Okay, go do it.
What did you
But
want
I'm
to
not
do?
seeing any cursor movement either. That's my problem.
Because you were telling me you weren't seeing anything.
All right, move your cursor.
What do you want to set a breakpoint on in this thing? This is your in-memory API.
Wow. I'm lost.
Like, how do you know when the API is actually being used?
All right, then I lost Zoom too.
Yeah. So Ward lost audio, video, and Zoom now. And now his screen is frozen on my face. Can you guys see Ward's face moving? Let me know on the chat.
It died.
Yeah. All right.
Although the interesting thing is it says it's connecting.
All right. Ward froze for me too. You froze for the chat as well. So just kill your video, Ward. We'll listen to you.
What's interesting is that you can hear me at all. I can't figure out how that's...
Because
that's because Zoom...
You're on a phone.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to kill Zoom over here. There we go. Now I'm
So
inside.
You're hearing me over something.
You're on the phone, yes, and everybody hears you.
Great.
What we're trying to figure out is why in-memory API is not working.
Right. So we'll fly blind. It's imagine there's a big storm. So it's issuing a get all call. We should be able to go into the in-memory data service.
Yep. I set a breakpoint inside of create.db.
It should already have gotten there, but any call that comes through will come through that parse request method,
Okay.
parse request URL.
That's what we need.
So if you put a breakpoint there, you should see a URL coming in.
All right, let's try it again. Parse request URL. The first one is API/heroes. I'll step over it. Is it active? Let's see. True.
You should have heroes. There should be...
Parsed is API based. There's a query. Is query the results? No.
All right, and it is active, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you should have a collection name.
Heroes.
That's really good. That's what it should be. That's exactly right. And we have data. So it should come back out the other side is data. And it was before. We know that it worked before. We know it's entering. We know that we got heroes back before.
Okay.
Trying to think where this could go awry, John.
That's a good question.
Because it does look like it's returning heroes.
So, well, how do you know that's returning heroes? I just see the collection name as heroes. Where's the data?
That should be entering. That should be coming back through the ngrx-data effect. You don't normally expect these things to not work. Let me think.
Because, like, the parsed object doesn't have anything with the data in it.
Right, that's all. What you are is in the step before. I was trying to see if it was going to understand what the right thing is. So now it should go through, and it should have hit the in-memory web API and come back with data. But you won't see that in the parse part because this is the early part. There's not actually a real clear hook about where this comes back. Without going into ngrx-data itself.
Yeah, so what's happened here, folks, is Redux isn't failing, Angular's not failing. We have a third-party library that's faking data, and we're trying to make sure it works right. Something somewhere is not hooked up right. And yes, everybody's laughing on the chat now at you and I interacting, Word.
Oh, goodness.
So let's see.
I'm trying to think where our next place to stop would be, which is going to have to, I'm afraid, be inside the ngrx-data library.
Well, the thing that's confusing is the error is actually in, it says ngrx-data, timeout has occurred, timeout error, timeout has occurred, webpack internal. I'm trying to figure out.
It's a webpack issue? Well, it always says that. Right,
it's timeout.js. So somewhere, someplace, you're doing some kind of timeout, right?
Yeah, there's a timeout, but it's, because this is the in-memory web API, it should happen instantly.
I've got a timeout of 500. Oh, I think I know what's going on here. I changed the timeout to half a second from 3 seconds. The timeout has to stay higher than the get. So I was timing it out before we got the data. I'll bet you we have data now. Ward, we got data.
Really? So we were actually making it work. we have a timeout built in, and we beat the timeout.
All right, everybody home, dance. All right, that was completely user error. That was me. All right, let me show people what I did to make it understand. There's very little configuration in ngrx-data, the library we wrote. In fact, I think the default for the root is API, right, Ward?
Yes, it is.
We just put it in there to show people. You can make API is the root of your web API. And then timeout is how long do you want to wait before any request times out. And it was set to 3 seconds. I changed it to half a second by accident. So it's back to 3 seconds for request timeout. And then lines 12 and 13 were the ones where we're faking a delay just so we can show things are coming and going. And right now, the get delay and save delay are both half a second word. So we have data.
We were timing it out before it had a chance to respond.
Yes, we were timing it out at exactly the same amount of time it took to respond. All right, Brian Clark's doing a dance. Thank you. So once we get the data up and running, if we click on Maxwell Smart, notice the Hero Details still works, everybody. And I can change Maxwell Smart to Word Smart. Press Save. And then notice that it changed Word Smart after about a half a second delay over on the left. Let me do that again. We'll change Word Smart to Word Happy. I'm going to press Save. Everybody watch. I know that there's a delay in the stream. But after I press Save, and I'll tell you when I'm going to do it, it's going to save it, but it's going to take a half a second because we put that artificial delay in there. And then the list on the left will automatically refresh. So save, bam, Word Happy shows on the left. What's happening is we didn't have to change anything in the detail or list components. We only had to change the container component because that's the thing that was doing all the getting of the data before. So this might be a good point to go look at the GitHub Git changes board to see what we actually did. What do you think? You sound distressed.
Me?
Yes. You don't want to look at the Git changes?
I can't see a thing. Zoom died on me. Twitch died on me.
We're all going to chip in and buy Ward a new internet connection? What do you guys think?
All I can do is my phone works and I can hear you, John.
All right, so first there's two. I'll go through the files one by one. Yeah, I will commit and push here. I don't want to do it yet, though, because I want to walk through the changes briefly. I'm talking to the chat windows. Aspiring DevOps guru, you guys deserve an adult beverage of your choice to bring this together. We're a comedy routine. Don't you guys get that?
We are. Man, I still want to try this this again.
And we intentionally did not plan this because we wanted to see what would it take to get there. Because we already knew how to use it. We just wanted to see if it was as easy as we thought it was. And obviously, we needed to document how to do this. First, the package.json and package.json lock files changed. Obviously, we had to pull in the ngrx store and effects and all that. I'm actually going to commit those now because who cares, right? So this is our packages. We only changed 9 files. The first one was main.ts, and frankly, that was a no-brainer. That was me using Hammer. I forgot Hammer.js. So let's get rid of that one. We're down to 8 files. App module, looking at the Git changes, we had to add in this app store module thing. That makes sense. So let's go move that up to the changes. App store module is a brand new file. This is in the store folder. These are the 4 new files Ward asked us to add. And the app store, we're always going to have one of these, right, in ngrx-data. This is like the root of the store, Ward.
As you say so, John, I can't see anything. I lost internet.
So just go to an existing project that we have and open up the store folder.
Okay.
Because we just copied these in.
I'm headed there now.
App Store is where we pull in ngrx store, ngrx effects, the store dev tools, yada, yada, yada. Mm-hmm. The only thing that's more custom for what you and I do here is the entity store module. This is where we say, hey, if you've got entities, we've got a store for you.
Correct.
Everything else in here is basic ngrx setup.
Yeah, everything in App Store module is basic ngrx setup. You know, hey, I have to do this no matter what if I intend to interact with ngrx.
Yeah, so at this point, there's no additional code you wrote.
Nothing.
Except one line, the import of our entity store module.
Correct.
All right, so let's go to entity store module. This one is our entity store. An entity store, if I can try to say it the way you said it, Ward, the entity store is anytime you've got heroes, villains, things like that, we're going to have, those are entities. And entities are things that have selects and select by IDs and CRUD methods, right?
Correct. So this, if you want to interact with ngrx-data and have ngrx-data manage your entities, this is the thing you're going to create.
And this module, no matter how many entities you have, this is as big as it gets. That's it.
That's correct.
So this file is 27 lines long. That's all you're going to need. So I'm going to push that up. But this file pulls in entity metadata, TS. This is where you customize it a little bit. And we said, what entities do we have? Right now we only had a hero. We could add a villain to it later if we want to. Maybe we'll do that next time we do this.
Well, you can do it in one line.
We'd have to pull in the villains component to do that too, though. So let's hold off on that.
Not really. But yes, okay, whatever.
Well, let's talk about that in a sec. Let's get through this one. We don't even need plural names for other things, right? Because
no, we only need it to tell because by default, when it's trying to figure out what the plural collection name is, it just adds S. So it thinks if you want to go get heroes from your database, it should be HEROS, which is not the real plural of heroes. So we have to teach it the correct plural. Otherwise, you know, if it was villains, no problem. Just add an S and you're good. But here we have to teach it. So that's what that's about.
Right. And Jerry's asking in here, so the gets, puts, and posts are by convention, by the entity name. Yes. How can they be customized? The pluralization is one way you can customize them. But you can also, what if you're...
if you have an entirely different scheme, then there is a plug-in point called the HTTP URL generation. It's just a service, and basically it will construct any URL that you want, given the information that you provided.
And that's something we have in the larger project, which is in the demo folder of the actual ngrx-data repo.
Yeah.
We'll document that too, Jerry, in our readmes as we go through.
But we knew that would be a point. In other words, we knew that we could sort of guess at sort of the default way in which you talk to your backend services, but what if we guessed wrong?
Yep.
You can completely replace that with the HTML generator, and now you're in control of how we make HTTP calls.
Yeah, so we assume like API heroes, but you can customize that to, you can even get rid of the API, right? You can customize that to, I don't know, ward/foo if you want to.
Any scheme you want.
Yep.
And that would work. That would apply across all of them. Now, suppose you had a particular one, like suppose Heroes was just wildly different. Everybody else, all the others hit a pattern, but this one didn't. You're also free to create a data service that deals just with Heroes and plug that in. So it's really pluggable, and these extension points are described in the documentation.
Yep. Now, move to the next step. The hero service became considerably smaller because effectively, if you follow any of the conventions or even if you override them with your own configuration, all you have to do is extend this entity service base with your hero model in this case, and that's it. So it's 14, 15 lines of code for a service for your model.
And you could decide that you don't want a hero service, separate hero service altogether. You can just bring the entity service factory in and create it in your component if you want.
Yes. Yeah, you wouldn't need that at all. So here's the last three files are the ones that kind of get done per entity. For an entity, you may or may not have your hero service, a villain service. That's up to you, as Ward said. But you're always going to want to have, at least I would say, in this case, we have a heroes component. So the HTML and the TypeScript for the heroes component will change. You'll need one of those for every entity that you've got. Obviously, you're going to put entities in different places. So your heroes HTML, let's look at how that changed. It's very subtle. Only thing that changed is we renamed heroes to heroes $, and we're using the async pipe.
And that's because you decided, and this is probably what drove your one of your Redux decisions. You decided that you wanted to program your application in reactive style. And reactive style means you listen for changes to the objects. That's why you're using an observable to show heroes. And then you issue commands in order that cause things that would change that.
Yep.
All right. So that's a subtle change, but that's part of your decision as an architect, that you want to program in this reactive style.
So I'm going to push that one up, and then let's take a look at the TypeScript. This is where there's a little more work to do, and there's really two things that we did here. First, we weren't using observables and forms, reactive forms at all in the first model. So we changed that, but then we also changed to using the Redux pattern. So because we changed to using more observables and stuff, there's more changes in this file. Let me start at the top, Ward, and explain to folks,
Sure.
and you can ad lib. So up top, first of all, we pulled in the form control because we're using that. At least, are we? Let me go look. Hold on. I don't know if we actually are using that. No, we're not. So let's kill it. We could have been.
We were when we were filtering.
Yes, so filter needed it. So we needed to pull in observables because we're using them now. That makes sense. The observer, I don't think we need that. That was the filter too, wasn't it?
Yep.
All right, so let's kill that. So all we needed was the observable so far. And then two interesting things in the component decorator. First, the providers. You listed hero service and a provider for this component. Want to explain why?
Would you say that again, John?
In the @component decorator, you have providers with hero service in it.
Hold on, I lost something here. Go ahead, try again.
The @component, we're providing the hero service.
Yeah.
Why? Why there and not at the root, for example?
No reason I can think of.
So there's nothing special about this provider, right?
Nope.
This could be provided anywhere that this component can get to it.
That's correct. As a matter of fact, in a later iteration, I moved it up.
Okay, I'm going to just comment that so people know. And then the really interesting one's the one after that. We added change detection strategy on push.
Well, we can do that now that we're following the Redux pattern. And we can do that because, first of all, we have this reactive style that we talked about, which is that anytime anything changes, it's pushed through a pipe. And secondly, because of the Redux pattern, our objects are immutable. We don't change them directly. So what happens is that whenever there is a change, it results in a new hero list or whatever. And because that's happening, we no longer need Angular to watch for property changes within any of our objects.
Right.
Because it just needs our object reference. If the object reference changed, it knows it has to refresh. So it's change on push.
Now, we didn't change that property for the presenter components, though.
That's true, although I'm not sure why we don't have them down below, but one of the interesting things we might want to go back and look at is whether those could be on push as well.
Yeah, and that was, remember what I said, I think we want to make sure we change those too. We didn't have that set down there, so we should go back. Let me grab this change detection on push from the container, and we can add that to the hero list and the hero detail now, right?
We can, and then we can find out if it worked by if we make changes, whether they show up.
Let me go grab that line of code. My cursor is acting funny. All right, I'm going to add it here. I've got to import change detection strategy, and I'm going to do it to the details. Theoretically, because I keep hearing all these articles about how if you set the change detection strategy, your apps will be so much faster.
Oh, well, that I can tell you is not going to happen.
Our app is already pretty darn fast, too, anyway.
That's the thing, is like, it's considered a value that you can get rid of all the extra change detection. But in my experience on the devices I run on, I can't tell the difference. And I don't think a user can tell the difference. And you read, every time I've seen somebody try, they've had to go to extraordinary lengths to show that, that flipping a switch makes a difference.
Like you loaded 1 million heroes. Yeah. Who's going to do that? So what I did was I added that setting to both the list and the details, and then I reloaded, and I'm selecting hero 1, hero 2, hero 3, and the details are still changing on the right-hand side.
And if you go and change the value of a name on a detail, and then save it back, does everything work?
Yep. Everything's happy.
Well, there you go.
So we didn't need to do that, but that's kind of one of the reasons people do it, right?
Yep. People are they're convinced that they'll get an extra performance boost by changing the change detection strategy, and you certainly can do it.
So why not, right?
Sure.
Okay, so going back into our code, as we scroll down, the other things we changed in here is heroes and loading. Those two properties used to be a hero array and a Boolean. We changed them to observable. And then line 26 is probably one of the more interesting ones here. That is, in my code word, that's where we, in the constructor, we set this hero's $ equal to hero service entities $.
Yeah.
That is basically where we're setting up the observable stream to come in and read the entities, right?
Yep. Cool. Exactly.
Now, when we actually delete, insert, etc., we have this hero services delete. We've got a hero services get all. We've got a hero services update, hero services add. Those are methods that we get for free from ngrx-data, right?
That's where the benefit, that's one of the places where the real benefit comes from, is that you're getting all of these standard CRUD methods, and under the hood, we're creating the ngrx actions, we're processing them through reducers, we're setting up the selectors that feed back so that you get entities. We're doing all of that in the ngrx-data library, so you don't have to. You get the benefit of interacting with it in an ngrx way, without having to write that code yourself.
All right, there's two last things I'd like to do. I just did a commit of all the changes that we made to make ngrx-data work. But let's go show the Redux tool, the dev tool.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, go do that.
So let me turn that on. Let me come down here. I'm going to refresh the app. Sometimes when you enable the tool, I find I have to refresh the browser before it'll actually pick it up. So it's refreshing. All right, here's Redux. And you'll notice you can see the time traveling. This is the Redux Dev Tool. If you haven't looked at this, folks, check it out. You can see over here where you knitted the store. You can jump to these. I could commit everything that's there. Let's do that real quick. And now, if we look at the state over on the right in our entity cache, we have heroes. There's our IDs and our entities. And then I'll keep that open for a sec. If I go click on Maxwell Smart, and I change Maxwell Smart to Ward Bell, I save, you'll see there's a update 1 and a update 1 success over on the right hand side. And now if we scroll over here, we can see, I spelled Ward Bell wrong, but you can see it's right there on the first entity. And then you can delete one, we can delete Ward, and you'll see there's an optimistic delete and a success down below.
Now, if you look at those actions, all of those are being generated by the ngrx-data library, and those are individual actions for the heroes.
Yep.
And they have a well-formed, easily recognized type name there. And so you really are doing real NGRX here.
So the cool part is, like, if you've done NGRX, or you've tried, you have to set up all these actions yourself, and all the reducers, and all the dispatchers, and all the selectors, and all the effects, and oh my. You can see the amount of code we did today was very small, if I didn't screw up 1 or 2 lines of code. But the next step, Ward, is let's add villains real quick. Let's be ambitious now. You said it was going to be easy. I believe you. I believe everything you say.
Well, a quick way to do that would be go to the entity metadata.
Yep, and I'm copying and pasting the word hero and putting villain below it. Singular, right?
Yep.
We don't need a pluralization because we're just going to stick an S on if it's not there, right?
It's going to take care of itself.
All right. Now, we probably have to go to the villains. We'll go to the villains detail and list first and add the change detection thing. Might as well, right? So we're going down to the villain detail component. I'm going to set the change detection strategy to on push. I'm going to import it. And the villain list, I'll do the same thing. And again, we don't need to do this, but I mean, this is one of the reasons people actually do it, so might as well just go for it. Trying to add the input.
So what I can't remember, John, is whether the villains component is set up to be in the reactive style, is it?
I don't know. Let's go see what it's got. It's got villain list.
I think it's still doing it in the, where you give it villains, not villains dollar.
Well, let's do a quick copy and paste of the heroes container. Well, yeah, but the other one wasn't doing villains dollar either, or heroes dollar.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, because they're so similar, you could literally list the heroes folder, paste it over, all that content, paste it over villains, and then change the word villain, hero to villain everywhere, and it would work.
Yeah, but I don't want to copy the details stuff. I just want to get the villains folder,
yeah,
right?
Bring the villains container over.
Right,
Sure.
okay. Let's do that.
Yep, that's what I really need. Yes.
Oh, okay,
and
gotcha.
the villain service.
All right, so let's go do villains. I copied heroes to villains. I'm going to change the file names. Nothing can go wrong when we copy and paste.
Nothing can go wrong. Because nothing else has gone wrong.
I'm not going to worry about the SAS file because we already had one of those. Nothing changes there. Villains component. I'm going to delete that. And I'm going to copy this one down here. Actually, I could have multi-copied. I forgot I could do that. I learned that from Brian Clark's videos last month. All right, so there's that. We also need the service. Let's go get...
Yeah, so you can copy the hero service over and just change the word hero, villain to hero.
Yep, so we need to go through the villain service and change everywhere I see hero, which we'll just do a quick thing here.
And since this is so simple, we could have actually done it right in the component itself, but we're trying to move fast.
Yeah. And I'm going to look for the hero. So I've got heroes all over the place here. Well, first we're going to take heroes in the HTML, change that to villains. And then anywhere I see the word hero, singular, I'm going to change that to villain. There's a lot of them. Wow. Hold on. Some of these are upper, some of these are lowercase. So, is there an easy way to do this? Wish I could match case with the multi-select.
Yeah, you can actually, but it's tricky.
Yeah. So let me go through there. I'm skipping is what I'm doing through the multi-select one at a time. Where's the cursor now? It's up there, it's up the top. And where is it now? Okay, I think we got it. And I spelled villain wrong. Alright, and now if I do selected hero everywhere, change that to villain, Is hero still exists anywhere? Yes. A couple more. All right, hero. Let's do this one over here. That's delete hero. It's now delete villain. All right, I think I changed all the heroes to villains in the HTML. Now in the component, I have to do the same thing, right?
Yep.
So this will be villain service. We're going to provide it. Anywhere we see this, we're going to do villains. This will be villains. I'm just going to go slowly through the file just to make sure I get it right. We'll go over here, villain service. I got to spell villains right. All right, we can change all of those. Any other problems? Yep, selected hero. Let's do a refactor on this one. Adding hero. We'll change this one to villain. All right. Let's go through here. We got villain, villain, villain. We're going to change refactor this one. Villains. Why is villain unhappy? Oh, I can't find villain because I need to pull in the model. I don't need hero anymore. I need villain. All right, scroll down. Anywhere I see heroes $, I want to change that. So let's go here and refactor. Villains $. Now we got a bunch of methods called like get heroes and all this stuff. We'll change this stuff too. This isn't fun to watch, I'm sure, but it kind of gets the point across that we're just trying to make it easy. And then we'll do a quick git diff. Boom, boom, like this.
Yeah, and these are things that, you know, are completely unrelated to ngrx or ngrx-data, or indeed however you're managing your data. You just need to set up a component, right? And that's what we're doing. And the switch here is that we've gone to a reactive style of writing components.
All right, so I just got there. We got a couple more places where the word heroes is showing up. Do that. Get heroes, get villains. Villain. This is called villain. Oh my gosh, is the word villain and hero like everywhere or what?
You know what this makes you think like? If you really had a whole bunch of components that all looked alike, you would probably...
You wouldn't do copy and paste, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
you
cool.
would make a generic version that just referred to entities and then just tweak it for each entity type. If you had it all looking, you know, if you had a lot of components that all looked alike.
All right, so I just refactored it all and renamed it, and I'm going over to villains in the app. Villains are showing up. I'm changing Dr. Evil to Dr. 123, and it all works. So we just copied and pasted, but let me show the git diff so people get it here. Yes, villains are evil. So what did we do? We went to entity metadata, and we added literally a single line of code that says villain : empty object literal. We added a villain service, which simply, once again, just inherits or extends the entity service base. That's it. Then we have a villain detail and list component, which all we did is add the change detection strategy. That's not exciting by any means, right? So let me push those up to the git changes. And then really the only two things of work we did is we have our HTML, which we copied and pasted, but if you can see here in the diff in the video, all we really did again is we went from using a villains array to doing a villains observable, an observable of a villains array with the async pipe. That's really all we did in the HTML. And then the last thing was the component TS. This is the one where we basically turned everything into an observable and started using our villain service to do deletes. And notice we actually have less code than we did without using any of Redux in this case. So cool. This whole thing works, man.
Well, how about that?
All right, so let me commit this. Now we have villains. Yay. And I probably should go up to the repo. We don't have a repo yet. Let's go create a repo.
And it should show up in the Redux tools now. Now what's happening is all entity activity is flowing through the store.
Yep.
And you have a single choke point there for watching and replaying activity on heroes and villains. There's another interesting feature of ngrx-data. While you're doing that, John, should I keep talking?
Yeah, I'm just telling people what I'm doing. Is I just created a repo. It's called johnpapa/ngrx-twitch. We've already initialized the repo, so now I'm just going to set the upstream remote and push everything up while Ward is talking. Go ahead.
So under the hood, what's happening is that inside the ngrx store is a thing called the entity cache. And inside of that, it creates, as you need them, one collection per entity type. So we now have and you saw that in the Redux tool. You could see that there was a heroes collection and a villains collection. And they're all sitting inside entity cache. If you want to, one of the interesting features is that you can say, if you wanted to run offline or something like that, you could pull out the entire entity cache, serialize it to the local browser store, shut the app down, bring it back up, and when your app launches, it could rehydrate the entire entity cache in one step from there, and you got all your entities back.
Yep. So first steps for people when they run this would be to git clone it. What's the full name here? Let's go with that. It would be git clone, then that long name I just did. And then, we got a CD into the folder, right? I always forget that. Do you always CD into the folder, Ward?
Nope, I always forget that.
All right, CD in the folder. I'm doing a quick start readme real quick. So I git clone, I go into the folder, I npm install, and then run ng serve-o, right?
Yeah, that should do it.
And then have a nice day. That will do it. We'll add more to the readme later. I'll make you a collaborator, Mr. Bell.
All right.
Let me push this up. Let's go make Ward a collaborator. Settings. So everybody, you can check this out now too. I got to enter my password real quick. I'm going to do that. And there we go. Confirm my password. Search for Ward Bell. Enter. Add the collaborator. All right, Ward, you're a collaborator, so you can make changes too. But if you look at the quick start, this will work great. Basically, this is what we did today. I'm sorry about the initial audio issues, but this hopefully will help people see what the difference is. And if we go look at the commits, if you look at the commit right here 14 minutes ago, it shows you here's all the changes we made to get NGRX running in our app. If you look at that, that's the stuff we did to get it working. And you can see every change we made. And if you go back to say, okay, that's great, we added code to get NGRX in there, but one of the big problems with NGRX, in my opinion, is from going to heroes to villains, you have to add like another 200 lines of code, normally. With our app, let's see how many lines of code we added to add villains. 41 additions and 96 deletions. That's kind of weird. We actually deleted code to add villains.
And most of that was to the HTML stuff, right?
To the service, actually, because we had all that HTTP stuff before. We don't need anymore.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you look at the code, I mean, even the HTML didn't really change. Everything actually got smaller except for one file, and that was entity metadata.ts.
Right, we added a line.
Yeah, that's a lot, dude. All right, so what do you guys think in the chat? Do you think this was useful? Do you think ngrx-data is something you would try to use with the Redux pattern? Let us know. Check out our repo, open up issues, pull requests, conversations. We'd love to hear more. And we're going to try to, Ward and I are going to look back at this, and this is going to be great. I'll put it up on YouTube when it's done. We're going to actually use this for selfish reasons to kind of write better README docs on this, so we make sure that it actually is easy to use, right? Cool. Some folks in the chat window. Thank you, John and Ward. Great job. Cool. Thank you, Zovs66. Real life developers, yeah. Well, Ward and I are kind of like an old married couple sometimes. We like to fight when we code. But we really actually like each other. So.
We do. And I'm liking you even more
Aspiring DevOps Guru, bravo, gents. Thank you. What's that password extension, Jury asks? Oh, that's one pass? One password?
LastPass?
One pass. So I use one password. Ward uses LastPass. I like one password. He likes LastPass. They're both awesome. It was fun. Yeah, thanks for coming, Jury. You're my favorite framework, John. Thanks, Spot Dogs. I think you're referring to that weird Twitter post. Thanks, guys. Lots of laugh. John Papa as a service. Next on Azure. No, thank you. Very useful. Can you add custom effects? Good question here from Acostal Berto.
And the answer is yes. You can add your own effects. You can create your own actions if you have some extra actions that we don't cover.
Yep.
So it's all there.
Yeah, and you can actually replace the reducers and stuff too, right?
Yep, you can replace the reducers. You can pull a particular entity out because you like the other 90 to be done by ngrx-data, but you discover that one of them doesn't. You just pull it out.
So you can really customize anything you want. The configuration for the routes in the back end. You can replace reducers. You can change the names of the entities. You can add your own selectors if you want. We didn't show that, but our full demo inside the ngrx-data repo does that. You can also remove or replace the effects if you want to. And even better is if, let's say you wanted to use this for all your models, but you have just one or two other, or even 10 other pieces of state you want to store that don't really follow the entity pattern. You don't want full CRUD. You just want to store like a single value or maybe two actions on it. You can still use regular NGRX with this whole thing. You're still using our NGRX. That was the key to this whole thing, right, Ward?
Absolutely. We were not trying to take NGRX away from you or even really hide NGRX. Rather, all we're just trying to do is save you from having to write all those pieces that look kind of alike but aren't.
Yeah, in fact, Jury just asked that. Jury is asking, I guess you can also mix and match NGRX data with plain normal NGRX reducers and stuff, right?
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. Really important to us is we did not want to create a new library. We wanted this to be, this is NGRX just with less boilerplate, with zero boilerplate, really. A single line of code, I guess, is the boilerplate. So if you had 100 models, you'd have 100 lines of code in that one metadata file. That's it. Last question here from Acosta Berto. Do you have to register those effects? Yeah, you have to tell, if you create your own effects, you'll have to register those. Yeah. Cool. Hey, everybody. I want to thank you all for coming on. Ward, thanks for coming on and being a sport about audio and internet issues today.
Oh, my. I'm sorry. But I'm glad to be here.
That's okay. It's last question, I think. I was hoping to have time for this today, but we won't. I was thinking of adding some snippets to my Angular snippets library for VS Code for setting this up. I think the only things that would really make sense might be like the modules and the metadata. Do you think that would be helpful?
Is that a question for me, John?
Yes.
I think we should discuss where the value might be. I'm not sure. It seems pretty straightforward to me, so I'm not sure.
Well, I think it is. The only thing that I always have to think about is the darn module structure.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that we could probably lay out.
I mean, the heroes and the villains, no, but the stuff inside a store, like
there might be some value there.
Yeah, even entity metadata. Like if you want to set up a pluralization, maybe we have a snippet that does that, for example. Jury's asking, what about shipping an Angular schematic instead? Yeah, we could do that too. I'd probably start with a snippet, and maybe, Jury, you could create a schematic for us with a pull request.
Yeah, a schematic for the whole store folder might be helpful.
Yep. That sounds like a great way to add a pull request to this. Hint, hint, for people. All right. With that said, I want to thank everybody for coming on. Sorry for, again, the audio delays. I will make sure we go back and update the README of ngrx-data. If you want to check out a demo, there's one built into ngrx-data, but we wanted to do one from scratch just to see if this worked. I'm glad it works, Ward.
Me too.
That would have been kind of awful, wouldn't it?
It would have been awful.
And I think we're going to go to beta sometime soon, aren't we?
Yeah, I think we can, that's a big big step, John. Alpha to beta. We can do it.
Yeah, we're definitely not at release candidate, but the next step for me is getting a lot of people to try this and get some feedback.
Right. We really want to see if this is valuable, if we're helping and not hurting.
Yep.
And that it's your feedback out there, folks, that will help us understand that.
All right. Thanks everybody for coming, and until next time, thank you. Next week, Brian Clark and I will be doing some more home automation, actually with Azure and IoT bots, taking it one step further. So please tune in next Thursday. Thanks.